Hello and welcome. I am in conversation with Kimmo Lähdevirta, Finland's ambassador to India. At a time when India and European Union have concluded a major free trade agreement and global economic and security alignments are shifting rapidly. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us. So, how do you see European Union and India free trade agreement reshaping economic ties between India and Europe, particularly Finland?
Well, I think concluding the negotiations on the free trade agreement was a historic milestone. And it's actually the largest trade deal that either side has made so far. And it's obviously benefiting and it's important for both parties, for both India and the EU. And we strongly believe that the agreement will increase trade and investments in both directions and deepen political ties between India and the EU as well. And I think what's also important in present day world is that it increases stability and predictability in the world. And at the moment, I think trade in goods and services between India and Finland, for example, is about 3 billion euro altogether, imports and exports counted. And considering the benefits the FTA will bring, I think we should aim at doubling the trade by 2032, as has been estimated that could happen.
So, are there particular sectors between India and Finland which will stand to gain because of this deal?
Well, Finland mostly exports to India industrial goods.
Right.
And we have areas like machinery, but for example, energy production. Then we have also telecoms manufacturers here, like Nokia already. So everything related to those sectors, for example, will be important. But there are many other sectors that we see that as would be benefiting.
And beyond tariffs, how does Finland view India as a long term supply chain partner?
I think India is becoming increasingly important also for us and for Europe as a whole, because I really do see good prospects for further cooperation in this area, because in the present day world, we need to make the supply chains more resilient.
Okay.
And I think, as said before, increasing stability and predictability also in this sector is very important nowadays.
Now let me turn to broader bilateral relationship. So how would you describe India-Finland relations today? And what are Finland's top priorities for the next 5 years?
I would say that the relations are strong and growing, first of all. We already have behind us 75 years of diplomatic ties. And trade, as I said, is now about 3 billion annually. We have about over 100 Finnish companies doing business here in India, and over 20 companies in Finland, Indian businesses. We have direct flights between our capitals, for example, and tourism and business ties are expanding. But for the next 5 years or so, I would say that we will continue to promote our DESI plus M, which means increasing cooperation, especially in these areas. But another thing really is to utilize fully the potential provided now by the free trade agreement. So doubling bilateral trade would be a good goal, I believe. But also this year especially, we have another goal which is very important, because India will host the World Circular Economy Forum towards the end of the year. And this is a cooperation with Finland, with Finnish Innovation Fund, Sitra.
So you have traveled to different Indian states. So which regions matter most for Finland? And what, in terms of manufacturing, they're important to you, sir?
Well, I would say that most of the Finnish companies are, for example, in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, West Bengal, Gujarat, and of course here in Delhi area. So those are really the hubs that we have. And that is also reflected where we have our, let's say, diplomatic missions or honorary consulates. And last addition to our network of honorary consulates was in Ahmedabad in June, when we appointed Mr. Kulin Lalbai to head the honorary consulate there. But of course, Finnish companies operate also in other areas and more widely in also other states. and there are many kinds of fields that they are active in different places.
You talked about the India-Finland cooperation through DESI plus M approach. So why these pillars were chosen and which are actually delivering results today?
Well, we feel that these areas leverage really the core strengths that we have. And the words come from, first of all, digitalization, then education, sustainability,
Right.
innovation, and nowadays we like to add also M, meaning for mobility. And I do feel that these areas match quite well also India's ambitious national goals like Digital India and Skill India and Clean India. So we have some active projects and other, let's say, cooperation means, for example, between government of Punjab and University of Turku in teacher training, for example. Then I mentioned the World Circular Economy Forum to be hosted here in India and with Central Pollution Control Board, the executing agency here. Then in the innovation side, we have in Finland Slush, which is one of the leading global startup financing events. We have a good cooperation with Indian startup communities there as well. And then we have business-to-business partnerships in technology manufacturing. We have big companies like Nokia and Wärtsilä and Kone to do that. And then finally, regarding mobility, India has been one of the most important partners for us in our Talent Boost program, through which we aim at attracting talent from India to Finland. And for that, we are also finalizing an MOU for migration and mobility.
In areas such as AI, 5G, 6G, and other advanced technology, where do you see the most practical India-Finland collaborations over the next few years?
Yeah, well, I think I would say, first of all, that our partnership and cooperation is moving beyond traditional trade to more shared mission for a sustainable future. And this World Circular Economy Forum is a good example, for example. And we really see opportunities for bringing Finnish expertise and innovations to scale up here in India. But also artificial intelligence and 6G, for example, they are areas where we have considerable expertise in Finland, but we also see that it's not just about faster networks, for example, but really bringing the digital tools needed for many other areas, including circular economy, for example. And we feel that advanced technology and sustainability do really go hand in hand for greener, more resilient world and countries.
You mentioned clean technology and circular economy. So where can Finnish solutions realistically help Indian cities?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to locate the sources of pollution. And we have very advanced monitoring and clean tech sensors, for example, that identify pollution sources real time. We also have technologies for waste management, renewable energy and decarbonization. For example, to reduce emissions in construction. We have a company called Betolar, for example, that does a green cement without the traditional ingredients. And I think it's important that these solutions are then paired with the local urban planning, for example. And this is, for example, where the circular economy and its principles come to play. Also, of course, we have other concrete cooperation projects. For example, Finnish companies are partnering with Indian firms to turn agricultural waste into bioenergy and plastic waste into new packaging, for example. So we have good concrete cooperation going on, but there's room to improve.
Now I want to move to security and geopolitics. So India and Finland had signed a MOU in defense in 2020. So can you update us about its progress, what concrete has been achieved in this particular area?
Well, yeah, as mentioned, we have this MOU already from 2020. But I would say that there is fairly little that has happened in practice so far. But I know that several Finnish companies have already expressed an interest in India. And we do our best to make sure that they have the relevant information about the market and also other issues relevant here in India. So This is an area which I believe is interesting on both sides, and especially so now that EU and India have agreed on a defense and security and defense partnership. So this provides a very good basis for further cooperation also between India and Finland.
So, since joining NATO after a Russian invasion of Ukraine, what has changed in practical terms for Finland's security?
Well, I would say that, of course, we see NATO as a source of security, first of all. And nowadays, well, it was last year, a regular poll was conducted where about 75% of Finns say that NATO membership strengthens their sense of security. And nowadays, our security lies or is founded on 4 pillars. So one is the homeland defense capability. Second is the deterrence and defense of NATO. Fourth is defense cooperation, and then we have total defense, where the whole of the society has been involved in preparations. And since our accession to NATO, we have increased personnel, for example, at our permanent mission to NATO and NATO structures. We have also developed communication and coordination mechanisms, and we do joint military exercises in Finland and abroad with our partners. We also, when we joined NATO, we committed ourselves to approving 8 NATO treaties within 1 year. And these, for example, the NATO Status of Forces Agreement and Paris Protocol and others have already been done.
So, what is Finland's current position on Russia-Ukraine war? And what does Finland consider a just peace?
Well, first of all, we continue to condemn Russia's illegal and unjustified war of aggression in the strongest terms. And we support a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. And this is, of course, something that requires Ukraine's involvement. Only Ukraine really can decide what kind of conditions they deem as just. But we continue calling for a full unconditional ceasefire, which would then allow space for meaningful talks aimed at genuine peace and putting a stop to human suffering caused by Russian terror. Russia's stalling tactics have shown time and again that I think Ukraine is really the only party serious about peace. And we can all see that President Putin continues to choose violence and destruction. But that's something that we feel that is the reason why we also must ramp up pressure on Russian economy and its defense industry until the president there is ready to make peace. Finland will continue our unwavering support for Ukraine as long as it's needed. And since February 2022, our total assistance to Ukraine amounts to over 4 billion euros already, both humanitarian aid but significant amounts of military hardware as well, and ammunition, things like that. And actually, Ukraine is Finland's largest development cooperation partner and recipient of humanitarian now. And some 48,000 of Ukrainians live in Finland under temporary protection.
So, given India's ties with Moscow, so what role does Finland realistically expect from India to play on this Ukraine-Russia war?
Well, we see India as an important global player, obviously, and it has the ability to be heard across the West, the East, and global South alike. And therefore, we hope that India continues to use its contact with Russia to persuade Russia to stop the war.
So, talking about this high-level visit, do we expect some high-level visits in the coming time, whether Finland's president or prime minister visiting India or vice versa? Is there some visits being planned?
Yeah, well, we are excited for Prime Minister Petteri Orpo to visit India actually this month, because he will attend the AI Summit, Impact Summit here in New Delhi, and will be also accompanied by a business delegation. And our participation in the AI Summit highlights really our expertise in digitalization and AI sustainability and future-driven solutions. And I believe that the visit will give Finnish companies direct access to India's key decision makers, and also provides opportunities to build strategic partnerships, launch collaborations, and really overall strengthen Finland's position as a trusted partner in India's digital and technology initiatives. Then regarding President Stubb, he and Prime Minister Modi have had several telephone conversations and also otherwise maintained communication. And both sides have expressed interest in deepening political and economic ties. And in the phone call last autumn, Prime Minister Modi extended invitation to President Stubb to visit India. And while I cannot yet give any specific timeline at this stage, it's clear that the political will for close engagement is there.
Now, finally, let me turn to mobility and social ties between the two nations. As more Indian students, professionals, including teachers, look to Finland, what is Finland doing to ease their mobility and long-term integration?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, we actively seek Indian talent through the Talent Boost program, for example. And at the moment, the number of Indian students in Finland is increasing. We have some 2,000 students there now. And really, our goal is to make mobility simpler, faster, and mutually beneficial. So that's why we are also finalizing this MOU on migration and mobility, for example. And we have over 600 bachelor's and master's programs in English. So it's not necessary for the students to learn Finnish or Swedish to study there. And tuition fees for also non-EU students are quite competitive, and also some scholarships may be available at universities. So of course, then for longer term integration and learning the social language codes and local language helps. So in addition to English, it's always good to know the local languages as well.
Right. So Finland ranks highest on a global happiness index. So what can India learn from Finland, and what can Finland learn from India?
Well, I would say that happiness just doesn't happen, but we see that our, let's say, good position in that index reflects the strong social systems and culture of well-being that has been built over the 100 years that Finland has been independent. So we call it actually an infrastructure happiness. But there may be some particular reasons in Finland, for example, trust as foundation for the society based on good governance, then different support frameworks, gender equality, social justice, education, and then these connections to nature and sauna and a good work-life balance, for example. And I would say that India also has much to offer for well-being through its ancient practices of yoga and meditation and its profound cultural diversity, and what I found truly inspiring here in India is the vibrancy and sense of community here. So I would say that we can learn, for example, about the strength of human connection here, where how people here find joy and meaning and a sense of belonging through their families and other social networks, even in this fast-changing world.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your time and sharing with us Finland's perspectives with us for the Week magazine. Thank you so much, sir.